Well, one of the most interesting startups that we've seen in a long time is Builder.ai.
Thank you so much.
They actually enable people to get the job done. I think that it's fair to say that the process of getting online, building apps has been made so much easier on the basis of what you're doing. Sachin Dev Duggal with us. He's a young entrepreneur, widely recognized around the world, and he's going to tell us a little bit about his story and the story of Builder.ai.
Ideas are what drive innovation in the world. From the grocery store to the factory floor, these ideas need to be digital to be relevant. But for many of us, that feels out of reach. That's why we created Builder.ai. Easy to build, affordable software tailored to your business, giving you the confidence to be digital, all without becoming a techie.
What do you want to build?
Your mission is to build the software that you need, enable people to build the software that they need. First question, how do you do that?
Well, firstly, thank you so much for having
My
me
pleasure.
on the show. You know, when we think about what's going on in the world right now,
Yeah.
everyone's trying to unlock their potential.
Yeah.
Everyone's trying to stay relevant.
Yeah.
And so you make the statement also that everybody needs software,
Yeah.
which they didn't have before.
Yeah.
But it's really difficult.
Yeah.
You need to be a computer scientist.
Yeah.
You need to be an engineer.
Yeah.
And what we started to see were more and more people saying, well, you know, I don't really want to learn how to code because I didn't learn how to make my kitchen.
Right.
I didn't learn how to make the factory that produces the garments I sell.
Yeah.
Why should I have to learn how to make software applications?
Right.
And so we started about this journey saying, how do we empower everyone to unlock their potential, everyone to build software applications?
Yeah.
And so a couple of things we realized.
Yeah.
One, most software applications have very common features.
Yeah.
Right? You log in, you log out,
Yeah.
you do payments.
Yeah.
And so
It's a
what if-
factory line sort of.
well, exactly, it's a catalog of features, right?
Right,
and
right,
then you
right,
have
right.
a factory assembly
Right,
system
right.
that puts it together, and then to make it just what you want,
Right.
there's a global expert network.
Right.
And so effectively, we can manufacture software applications
Yeah.
with unprecedented speed and quality
Yeah.
that you couldn't
Yeah.
get otherwise.
Yeah. And so this is something which is designed for a wide variety of people, because I think the other interesting point is that everyone's unique and you cater to that. So it's not as if you have one algorithm suits all.
Yeah, you know, and that's a really key point, right? Because everyone's business is unique. Everyone's
Yeah.
idea is unique, you know, whether it's regional or size of company.
Yeah.
What's universal is people are trying to unlock their potential.
Right.
What's universal is they know it's software.
Yeah.
But 20% of everything that someone's doing is
Yeah.
unique to them.
Right.
And that's really where we bring in this expert network
Yeah.
from around the world, which works on top of the assembly line to give everyone like a really tailored experience for what their application needs.
So tell us a little bit about your team. I mean, how big is it now?
So we're close to about 800 people globally.
Wow.
Oh,
It's as large as that. I didn't think it was as large
So
as that.
we started in India.
Uh-huh.
So it's, you know, build from India, build out.
Yeah.
We're about half our team is in India. We're about 250 people in London, and then the rest is sort of globally distributed.
Right. And before we move on to you know, the app and what it offers, India and Hyderabad is where you've already invested, and you see yourself getting more involved in India going forward?
So today our largest team is in Delhi. But you know, one of the discussions we've been having actually started in Davos in the summer,
Right.
when we were a global innovator.
With KTR, right?
With KTR, exactly,
And-
which was
and
about how we can sort of expand in India,
Yeah.
you know, the powers of what
Yeah.
Telangana and Hyderabad offer.
Yeah.
And so we're really looking to expand our India footprint like we're expanding the global footprint.
Right. And what exactly do you intend to do in India?
So, you know, it's a multidisciplinary team.
Right.
We have engineering.
Right.
We have go-to-market.
Right.
We have regional experts that know how to customize for the Indian buyer.
Sure.
You know, whether that's a micro SME or an enterprise.
Yeah.
And so India is a really unique story for us in that it's
Yeah.
a fully encapsulated org.
Yeah.
And it does everything. It's not just a back office.
Right.
It's a front office as well.
Right. And what is the typical age profile or the type of people you're hiring? And this is important because, you know, you're coming into India, or you have come into India at a time when we are seeing lots of problems, IT sector, layoffs, this, that, and the other. There's a lot of talent out there, and they're looking for jobs. And so what is your sense of where the Indian IT space is going, and who are the type of people that you're trying to recruit?
So I think, you know, one of the things is just we've been a part of the India story for almost 15 years.
Yeah.
Right? Our first company was in cloud computing in the early 2000s. And we have all age groups in the company now.
Yeah.
I think there's a few things that we're noticing. One is India is no longer a place where you go for an economic advantage.
Right.
India is a place you go because what you're trying to drive is diverse thinking,
Yeah.
creative thought.
Yeah.
You know, you're getting the right skill set.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think what we're seeing of what's happened in the last six months, a year,
Yeah.
is a little bit of the global cooling
Yeah.
becoming a part of the India cooling.
Yeah.
And hopefully what this will do is alleviate some of the issues that we face, right? Which
Right.
is you have 50% no-shows of folks
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
the day of joining,
Right.
Which is really tough.
No, it
if
is,
you're a
it
young
is.
company. You're seeing really quite
And you do
heavy-
face that problem.
Yeah,
do you?
absolutely.
Yeah.
We were seeing a lot of wage inflation.
Yeah.
And look, at it makes sense, right? Because what you were seeing on one hand was demand skyrocketing.
Yeah.
And the supply of sort of India talent
Yeah.
was growing, but not growing at the pace demand was, which is
Yeah.
a great story.
Yeah.
But it creates its own issues.
Right.
So I'd say now with the cooling, what you're starting to hopefully see is folks are finding homes for longer periods of time, which I think is going to be really important because it will start to normalize. You know, today if you take the best skill sets available in India, from a price perspective, it's on par
Yeah.
with the UK or Europe.
Yeah.
And that's fine
Yeah.
because I don't think the India story anymore is get it cheaper. I think the India story now is get it better.
Sure. 78% of all software development ventures fail. And you've had failures in the past as well. And it's because of that failure that you sort of decided that why must people fail on the basis of existing models? Why don't we do something that helps people get ahead?
Yeah.
Tell us about that statistic and how that really drove you because you were impacted by that.
Yeah, so, I think if you look at the last 10 years, there's been a big change in the buyer.
Yeah.
10 years ago, the buyer was pretty sophisticated. Even if they weren't sophisticated in technology, they were a sophisticated buyer. Today, everyone is building software. I'll give you some really funny
Yeah,
analogies.
yeah.
Like our average customer thinks Java is a coffee bean you buy at Starbucks.
Right.
Our average customer uses Excel and a calculator next
Yeah,
to it to do the
yeah,
calculations.
yeah.
They're not using formulas.
Yeah.
And that customer doesn't know how to tell you what they want.
Right.
But they can describe the problem they want to solve.
Yeah.
And 80% of software projects fail because you're asking a customer, here's a white piece of paper, tell
Yeah.
me what you want.
Yeah.
And most people don't do anything with a white piece of paper.
Yeah.
They usually say, my idea is like this, or the
Yeah.
problem I'm trying to solve is like Y. Here are the 3 or 4 things that I really
Yeah.
want.
Yeah.
And they're
Yeah.
very good on the detail.
Yeah.
But they're not necessarily completely aware of the macro of
Sure.
what they want.
Sure.
And I think that's what we're starting to see, especially with this new kind of customer
Yeah.
who just wants it to work
Right.
and not have to figure out how to make it work.
Yeah. Now you describe yourself as Chief Wizard, right? Not CEO, co-founder, this, that, and the other. Why? Why do you call yourself Chief Wizard? I mean, are you hands-on? Is that the way it works? Or have you got all the solutions like a wizard? I mean, have you got a magic wand or something?
No,
of that sort?
well, look, I think a part of it is
Yeah.
our customers think about software building as
Yeah.
a little mystical.
Yeah.
They don't really understand it.
Yeah.
And it seems a little magical in that experience,
Yeah.
right? So I think one is that. I think the second is a CEO title to me, especially as I'm still learning in my role.
Yeah.
Our organization's changing. You know, we've gone from 200 people to 800 people in really a year and a half.
In a year and a half?
In a year and a
Wow.
half, we've grown revenue 300% year on year for
Yeah.
now, 2 years straight.
Yeah.
My role's changed, and I'm trying to figure out what that role is, what I need to do, how I stay relevant
Yeah.
to help our teams,
Yeah.
but also be hands-on.
Yeah.
So I think this is just a nice way for me to be able to encompass a more descriptive role of what I do,
Sure.
as opposed to the CEO title, which I think comes with it also a lot of seriousness, and
Yeah.
people, it becomes a lot less approachable.
Yeah. And how did it all start for you?
So
What is your story well before Builder.ai?
So I actually started in school building PCs when I was 14.
Wow.
Sadly, Michael killed that business, and so building PCs wasn't that profitable.
Yeah.
So I started to write code.
Yeah.
And then I told my mom I don't want to go to school.
Yeah.
I want to go do this software thing.
Yeah.
And she said, absolutely not. You
Yeah.
are going to complete college.
Yeah.
And so then the agreement was I'd go do an internship. So I joined Deutsche
Right.
Bank, did an internship,
Right.
started a cloud computing company as soon
Yeah.
as I came out of school, quit my
Yeah.
job.
Yeah.
And then I was actually building, after exiting that, I was building a photo sharing app
Yeah.
and got really rogered by a developer.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, I went to Imperial, did engineering. If it's so hard for me to get software built,
Yeah.
gosh, it must be so difficult for the
Right.
little bakery down the road.
Right.
And that's really when we started this 6 years ago,
That's
just over 6 years
amazing.
ago.
And what do you see, where do you see this going forward? I mean, how big can this potentially grow?
You know, I think to
Because you've
answer-
established the app, you've established the technology, you're obviously looking for more customers. But in terms of growing your ideas, Is it going to be linked with the Builder.ai as it is, or are you looking for something else as well?
You know, I think it's a couple of axes to this, right? So I think number one is the very nature of software is changing. If we go back 5 years, software used to be something that hung around for a year or 2 years. Now it's 6 months. But Vishnu, in a year, our conversation might just prompt a software application. And it might just be an application for this conversation.
Yeah.
And so what you're going to start to see is exponential increase in software applications, but used for much shorter periods of time.
Yeah.
And so they become almost like a language rather than a tool.
Yeah.
Or a language and a tool.
Yeah.
So I think for us to stay relevant is also understanding that. I think the second is how do we empower people that are younger?
How do you do that? That is my next question.
Right, because I think, if you... I give
It's
you
obviously ease of use. That's number one.
It is, and it's also capturing people's imagination.
Right.
So I give you a really anecdotal story. We were doing an event in Saudi Arabia a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
With this little boy.
Yeah.
He came to our stand. He was, I think, 11 years old.
Yeah.
And he said, I want to build news aggregation for kids.
Yeah.
And it's pretty profound.
Yeah.
So that he's talking to us, explaining to
Yeah.
us, Natasha's listening to this conversation, adding the features.
Yeah.
And then a gentleman walks by
Yeah.
and said, I want to invest in that kid. What's this kid doing? It was like, oh, he's got this news aggregation for kids.
Yeah.
So I want to invest in that. And so you saw in
Wow.
real life an 11-year-old, somebody who wanted to write a check, an idea getting built.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the magic.
Yeah.
That magic doesn't happen when you're dealing with consultants and dev shops and
Sure.
the traditional way, because the thing that everybody can do,
Yeah.
we can all talk.
Yeah.
So the question always is, why can't software listen?
True. No, and how did funding get along? Was that a major headache for you? I mean, you're well funded now, but getting those funds, to start your dreams, how tough was that?
Fundraising is never easy.
Toughest part?
I think it's pretty close to the toughest part.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
the first of everything is tough.
Yeah.
The first customer.
Yeah.
The first build.
Yeah.
The first investor.
Who was your first investor?
Our first investor, it was a friends and family round.
Right.
It was led by SoftBank's AI fund
Right.
in Tokyo
Right.
called DeepCore.
Yeah.
Then 6 months later, we did a round with Lakestar and Jungle
Yeah.
Ventures.
Yeah.
They did our Series A. And it was never easy because we had a grand vision.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to get behind grand visions when all you have
Yeah.
are just ideas.
Yeah.
So our VCs have been incredible in helping us, giving us a room to build and make mistakes.
Have you ever done an interview with in the snow like this?
I have never done an interview in the snow.
We're about to be driven over now by a snowmobile, so a snowplow rather. Anyhow, go ahead. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, no, so I think, our investors have been incredible because they've given us the rope to be able to execute, to try,
Yeah.
to figure things out. And our model is not like a typical SaaS model because we know customers don't want that.
Right.
So it's a mix of different worlds, and I think that's been the really powerful thing because we've built something customers want.
Right.
And we see this because in our promenade, we
Yeah.
have a small pavilion.
Yeah.
And we had a lady who came in yesterday who said, I want to build a mental health system
Yeah.
for old people.
Yeah.
This lady signed up, came in, designed an app, paid for the app in an hour.
Wow.
This
That
would
is-
never happen before, right? This would be months and months and months of work before.
Look, Sachin, it's been wonderful chatting with you.
Thank you so much.
And you need to get back because you're going to be snowed under on the roads. But it's quite stunning, isn't it?
Yeah,
This
very
time
pretty.
around.
Well, hopefully the snow is calming a little bit now. So.
But I'll tell you
we'll
what
make it
else
up.
is stunning, your ideas.
Thank you.
And the road ahead seems really interesting. I look forward to speaking to you again.
Yes, perfect.
All the way best.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thanks a
very
lot.
much.
Thank you. Thanks.